extremely happy to be at Artipias headquarters together with Konstantinos and Dimitris to have a quick chat about the fun, extremely fun gameplay we had. It was scenario 6, wasn't it, guys? The one that we tried? Don't remember?
I think so, yes.
I think it was the last one with the gas leak, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we had a blast playing Firefighters on Duty, a real-time game which has a bit of DNA of Project Elite, and I mentioned that just because a lot of people love Project Elite, but it has its own character, which is also very important. It's very accessible to families, but also to gamers. For me, it was one of a kind experience. So let's talk about first of all the concept. Why Firefighters? What was the driving motor for Firefighters? Why not some kind of other theme?
When you make a real-time game, you often want to go with a theme that also boosts the intensity of gameplay. And we felt with Sotirios, my co-designer, we felt that the theme was very, very fitting. Also, it is a present-day theme, and everyone admires firefighters and the work they do.
For the service, yeah, sure.
So I also had a similar theme with modern-day heroes. With the game Rush MD in the past, so
exactly.
I felt very common with such a modern day theme.
Yes, definitely.
So we've decided to go with firefighting, which I believe is very fitting to the type of gameplay this game has.
Because of the time pressure, you're not allowed to do mistakes when their lives are on the stakes, right? When you're fighting fires, seconds can be disastrous. Okay, it's a fun game. It doesn't give out any. It gives the stress and maybe the handling of the time delicately, but that's why I suppose it was no-brainer to choose the theme, right? Going for real time, where time really matters. Seconds can have a huge impact, I suppose.
Yes, the theme came very natural to us, and we like to design games based on theme.
Yes.
So the actions were then made based on things an actual firefighter would do. We researched a lot. Of course, everything is modified and toned down to a simulation, given that we have a limited amount of time each round, and also the 2-minute rounds also sort of limit the amount of information you can process within that time frame. So several things were either left out of an extra ultra accurate simulation, which would not be very fitting to a real-time game.
Yeah. For me, I'll be honest, right from the start, real-time is a mechanism that I typically, unless it's a party game, I'm not gravitated towards. But for this one, I think it's a fantastic fit, really, because it's fun, but it also makes so much sense thematically. It's really, really fitting, because you don't have a lot of time, and you need to do the best out of the limited time we have with the tools, fire axes and fire hoses and electricity shutdowns, etc., to make the best of the scenario, right? But the cooperation is really important as well, because I imagine, I'm not a professional by far, that even though that, as you said, modern day heroes, they do extreme things and go extreme measures to put out fires, to save people's lives, etc. The cooperation and the co-parties, the real life co-parties is important, right? Because you need to strategize, you need to organize who goes which direction, who does what, and this game really managed to get this feeling for me.
I have designed several...
I'm seeing you with a firefighting suit as we speak now, in my mind.
I've designed several real-time games. It's something that I really like to do. And I believe that this specific one is probably the most demanding in terms of the amount of cooperation it requires. Because many of the things you can use in the game are common pawns. Anyone can use it. So the more you play the game, you want to build your skills to be more perceptive of what others are doing, and whenever you can assist them. So I think this is something that is really strong within the game. The amount of teamwork needed.
Another thing that really came through for me was the little things, the details. You know, having the water truck, for example. You think that you're a fighter, you have a fire truck, and you have endless amount of water. No, you don't. You have a specific quantity, right? And you really manage to get the feeling of resupplying, of timing, of being at the right place at the right time, and make plans out of it on the fly. Because we were making plans, right, guys, at the beginning. Yes. You go from this side, I go from this side. I try to rescue this guy. I'm trying to put this plan in motion, etc. But things change, of course, because of the dice roll, like in real life. But also, maybe you also find other ways that may be more beneficial for the outcome of the round. So, adapting on the round was a big thing, and on the fly. That's what I mean. And for me, it was important that I coordinate with you guys, but then you need to to make sure that I cannot have an overview of everything on my own, at least for a 3-player scenario that we're playing here. Be able to save the patients, the injured people, because if they're burned down, you lose a game, of course. Okay, it's lives, but also progress the scenario. In this case, the scenario was what, Dimitris? Do you remember?
Yes, it was an evacuation scenario. We had to transfer all the civilians on the evacuation point.
The green one, right, on the top left.
Yes, on the top left, exactly. Yeah. But also, there's also other factors we have to check out. For example, the injured people that always they have to go to the hospital, to transfer them from the hospital, regardless of the scenario.
Mechanically, that was something also, sorry to interrupt you, interesting for me, because you cannot put injured people on the fire truck, tie them up on the roof of the fire truck. You need to have a proper vehicle to transfer them.
Exactly.
So it made sense, right?
And of course, you always have to keep in mind the fire itself, because if you let it to spread out, of course, it's going to put you a lot of trouble. As you said, some areas after a while they're going to burn out.
Completely burn down.
Yes, and that means that you're going to lose some of your scenario points.
Yes.
And that's another way to lose the game.
Yeah. So because we're always very careful not to lose. Okay, of course you cannot do everything, and sometimes you need to cut your losses and try to think, where I'm focusing more or something like that. But definitely, you cannot let things burn down, because.
Yes, I think it's a neat part of the game where it's a tactical part where you have to check out where you need more focus.
Yeah.
For example, okay, there is a lot of fire there. We have to
concentrate our efforts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another thing that I found interesting, I don't know, Konstantinos, if it was. Something that you use it in previous designs, or it was something on the fly here, that the firemen pieces, the equipment, is commonly used by everybody, because you transfer them originally with your truck, you unload them, maybe you do your first task, and then you have to detach yourself emotionally by those pieces, because it's for the best of the team that everybody uses everything as much and as productively as possible, right? So this was really nice for me. It was difficult for the first round, but for the second round, I tried to use, give you my results, give you movement points, use, if I have something that I can use on the other side of the corner where you were focusing, jump there and focus.
It is an interesting challenge to always keep in mind that the only thing belonging only to you is your fire engine.
Yeah.
But the fact that you load the firefighters in your vehicle and move them around, at that point they sort of belong to you. Other players will get access to them again only when you decide to unload them somewhere else. But once you do, you have to remind the other players that they can now utilize them. Otherwise, they will not focus again on them, and that may cost to the team, because you really need to have everyone contributing as much as they can.
Yeah, or at least no die roll could be used somewhere is left. Or re-rolled for no reason, you know what I mean? Because seconds matter there for sure.
During the game, almost every dice roll is useful. You can stop and perform that action. So your decision while you are constantly rolling is which ones do I not do? Which actions do I skip in order to do something else that
for the
is
benefit
more
of
urgent?
saving time or doing something urgent. Yes. Yes.
So this is something that is unique to this design, and we are very satisfied with it.
This adds also thematic points, in my opinion, to the game, because I imagine, again, I haven't put out a fire myself of this magnitude or whatever, but you don't have one thing on your hands, you know what I mean? You have to save the person, you have to maybe clear debris, make sure the fire doesn't spread, so there's a lot of things that these modern heroes, as you said, are juggling, you know, on the line of the duty at the same time. So I think this really gets this out, that you may have to do something also, you know, pause and do something else, or, you know, do something in parallel as much as possible.
Something that was very inspiring during the design was we've seen videos of training exercises of firefighters.
Oh, that's nice.
Where they have a special situation in front of them that is not actually happening. It's an exercise. It's a drill, but I would say the choreography that takes place so that everything is synchronized and they unload the equipment and it's quickly transferred to where it needs to be, and every person knows their role, the position they need to keep in order to handle the pressure of the fire hose and the water and all that. It's very nicely coordinated, and it is sort of the goal of the players once they become more used to the mechanics of the game and play more scenarios to achieve this exact result. That as soon as I unload a firefighter, they are immediately utilized by another person, bringing them in position to assist me again, so I can start putting out and fire and so on.
Exactly. It's like being a cog in a greater machine, like, because there is no...
Exactly.
You have to act like a robot, you know, like a human robot, because, you know, humans matter and you need to have the human decision and sharpness. But everyone plays their role, for sure. What would be interesting is to get the game once, I'm sure it's going to be a huge success, but once published, to get the game and go to the fire station and try it with some professionals. What do you think? It will be interesting to see their reactions and see how, of course, they're going to have a lot of fun, for sure, but you know, their comments from real experience would be interesting. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying.
I know a few people who are firefighters, so I would surely like to see their the way they react to the game once we publish it and we present it.
Okay, so we have a follow-up video, fast forward in the future. That sounds great. So, a word about replayability. Of course, your decisions matter, because even the same scenario played again and again depends what you do, you know, your strategy, who goes which side, which things are more important, etc. But what about the replayability between scenarios? Because I played this scenario, I loved it myself. You know, the gas leak, very thematic, a lot of gas leaks around the city, very difficult but very challenging. I had a good cooperation with you guys, so spoiler alert, we managed to win the game at the very last moment. But what about the rest of the scenarios? Can you give me a bit of input? How they play out? I mean, what is the difference in terms of gameplay? Where are you focusing?
So, okay, first of all, there's many factors that can change during of each scenario. For example, one of them is if you want to play the hard mode, as we said, where the expand of the fire is more difficult or more easily spread out on the board.
Yeah. Making it tougher for the players, you mean, right?
Yeah, yeah. So if it's easier to spread out, of course, that means more fire tokens on the board to deal with. The other thing is that every scenario is going to be thematic, and that means that every scenario is going to have its own objective, depending on the scenario. Of course, there are some common, let's say, objectives, like the vacation that we just described. Other scenarios could be that you have to survive for 6 rounds.
Mayhem, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to just wait for more of other firefighters to save you.
Okay.
And of course, other scenarios are going to be about extinguish the fire from the board.
Fully everything out.
Exactly. So that's the main objective. Of course, the other factors like to transfer the injured people on hospital is still on the table.
Okay.
And of course, there's going to be various spatial rules for each scenario, and most of them are going to be very thematic.
Okay. Just something that comes to mind right now. What about a scenario generator? Have you thought about this, guys? It will be interesting because it's modular. You have the materials. I don't know if maybe some instructions in place or some kind of mini system. It would be interesting. I don't know if you have thought it for people to make their own scenarios, or direct them in playing out things, because there's so many things you can do with the components.
The base game will already come with 3 scenario booklets, one booklet for each player count. The 2 player and solo are together within the same booklet, and so players will already right from the start have numerous options and scenarios to play with. However, we do have the recipe here is that we've added specific elements like the modularity of the board and the way everything is set up. It offers sort of a sandbox for anyone to create new types of scenarios, which is something that we will encourage everyone to do. And of course, the game itself in several aspects depends on the lack of a die roll or a card that is drawn.
But let me pause you here, because it has dice, it has luck, but for me, who I play numerous games, and I'm okay with dice rolls if they're fun, etc. This game doesn't give me the luck factor, because you're rolling, you can roll as fast as you want, so it's back to your competency, let's say, how fast you can roll, because at some point you'll get what you want. You know what I mean? It's
yes, it is controlled chaos. And when you have controlled chaos, each player could then start designing their own scenarios, perhaps play them once, see that they are very hard to do, and then do a few adjustments and present this online, perhaps for others to try.
Are you going to have a Facebook page or something for people to share maybe down the road scenarios or ideas?
Yes, our own website will feature new scenarios. We also have a Facebook page already. Okay, so to close this entire aspect of replayability that you asked, these type of games, the real-time games, are very close to what a video game is.
Yeah, sure.
And in video games, you play again and again, often even the exact same thing, and the desire to become better at it and perform better each time you play is something that you don't that makes you to want to play again. So their replayability is very high, also for this factor.
Sure.
That you want to try again and see if you can do better. And of course you will do better, because every time you play, you gain experience that then follows you to your next games.
For me personally, even from going from the first round to the second round and third round, I've seen myself that I've become more confident or more able to, let's say, observe more things. Have a bigger bird's eye view of the scope. So definitely, I see what you mean. Another question I have is, okay, this is a core game. And knowing you guys, I know that you have a lot of things in plan. I don't know what you want to reveal or what you can reveal before going into the campaign, but something tells me that you have more in the works than just the already big core box, which has a lot of replayability and has a lot of fun. So what can you share, Konstantinos? What you had, what is allowed to be shared at this point?
Well, based on how well our campaign does, we have prepared several other ideas and playtested several other things that we hope to be able to present.
Okay.
Aside from expanding what is already there, like for example more events and more distress calls and things like that, new equipment, new hazard tokens, things like that.
Sounds
and then we also have some new vehicles that
now you got me interested.
will assist players and give them the opportunity to improve their performance. Of course, this will come at the cost of scenario points.
That I was going to say, because I suppose there is already balance from your playtesting, so if you give the player something, a tool, you need to make it more difficult for them, right? I suppose. As well.
Yes, we've designed the game so that you can add difficulty to it and then balance it out with more scenario points, allowing you for more mistakes.
Or maybe for a family mode, you know, if someone wants to try an easier mode,
of course,
with the younger people.
Or you can make it easier using, for example, another vehicle that allows you, has a special use and does something differently. But that would, in that case, you would remove scenario points in order to balance out.
I see. But the idea of the vehicle, let me come back to that quickly, sounds fascinating for me, because the water truck on its own, it's a pivotal thing in the whole game, you know what I mean? Having a water tank that goes and loads and can resupply you on the fly without having yourself to go back and resupply yourself. It's phenomenal, okay? So it's very interesting. The same goes with the people carrier, because it gives, it's not just one more thing, you know what I mean? Just one vehicle doing a bit of the same. It's completely different. So this blends nicely into the mechanics of the game. So it opens up a lot of possibilities. That's what I'm trying to say. So if the vehicles that you're going to introduce do something similar, not water, you know what I mean, in terms of functionality, that's for me, it's really, you really got me now interested. Is it something like that? I don't know.
First of all, every vehicle you add, which would be a common vehicle.
Okay, so there are a lot of vehicles.
So every vehicle that you add, since it's a common vehicle, it offers one more thing everyone has to pay attention to, but at the same time, it gives you another tool in order to assist your teammates. So we are really happy that the game is expandable in this aspect.
Yes, definitely.
And it surely has a lot more potential.
Sounds great.
And hopefully we can show some of that potential.
I'm sure it's going to be a success. But I'm really looking forward to see the vehicles and their functionality. My personal take, because I can see them changing in nice new ways the gameplay, and this is really interesting in trying also additional things and trying the scenarios with different approaches, etc. I have one more question for you guys. So this game, as I said in my review, and I'm sure as many have identified already, has a bit of DNA of Project Elite inside of it. And for me, this is fine. This is something that I was very happy to see, because Project Elite is a fantastic game, very unique. It has huge success for obvious reasons. But I wanted, before I played the game for the first time, that it's not only that, it's not a Project Elite with Firefighters. And I can tell you hands down that this is not the case. It has the DNA of Project Elite, but it has a very unique character. It has a lot of different things, but also it has the cool things that I liked from Project Elite. So, do you want to comment on this, maybe, Konstantinos or Dimitris? What do you think?
The similarities between the two games are very few and fundamental. But otherwise, these are two totally different games.
Definitely, for sure.
For so many reasons. Project Elite has a strong tower defense element within.
You're right.
Which is not present here.
Yes.
And it's very character focused, so you have your own character, and this is the only one you control. Of course, you also involuntarily control all the enemy. But in terms of who is with you, it's you only have your own character.
Yes.
So the player focuses on one specific unit to move.
You're talking about the equipment, the firemen, the common vehicles that they are common for everybody.
Yes, just within the base game, you have 11 different things that you pay attention to, which would be your 8 firefighters, the 2 common vehicles, and then your own fire engine. So every person here controls 11 different units, and this is why every dice roll is so useful.
Yes, yeah. So these are the reasons that obviously it's a different game, and obviously it has a lot of differences from Project Elite. The reason I mention it is for me, I like Project Elite, and I liked actually the aspect of the dice action resolution, you know, rolling and re-rolling action dice, and you can use them to do the different actions. This is actually the common thing that identifies it with the Project Elite, right? I suppose the resolution of the common action dice that you roll and roll until you get what you want to do, the different tasks you have ahead of you.
Yes, this is what connects the game in the 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, and
but as I said,
exactly.
Otherwise they are a totally different experience, both very intense, but at the same time different.
Yes.
Within Firefighters on Duty, the biggest challenge is to make use of every dice roll, even if it doesn't directly benefit what you are doing at that particular moment.
Yourself.
And both games do very good job in getting rid of the alpha player.
Yes.
Because of the
very
pressing.
Yes, exactly.
The pressure of the real-time aspect.
That's a very valid point, actually. This is one of the main drawbacks of co-op games, right? If you have an alpha player, they take the lead and they may make the play for the other players not bearable.
It can become a problem, especially if there's a very difference in the experience of the players playing.
Yes.
However, in these games, this is negated. However, in this one, there is an additional good thing, I believe, which is that everyone is always present and is always involved in the action. In Project Elite, you could stay back, guard your starting area,
and do your thing,
make
right?
sure that nobody, no aliens come close to your base.
Yeah.
But someone else could be in front of in the front line and becoming the hero who saves the day.
Yes.
In this one, everyone is
the hero.
Is involved everywhere, and we often see that even with new players in playtests, at some point everyone will turn to them because, for example, they will be the only ones with water in their fire engine, or they are the ones who brought the second wave of firefighters to assist. So it's very critical where they the actions they perform.
Definitely. And the last thing for me that I want to mention is the fact that the game comes with a solo as well. It's a very welcome. I mean, I would always prefer to play this with friends. I think it's part of the fun. But the option of playing it also solo is also nice and challenging because it gives you opportunities to play the game also on your own. You know, try things and check different scenarios, etc. So that's a nice addition. So very happy to see the solo. So that's from you guys. Any last thoughts? So wishing great success for the project.
Thank you very much for your wishes, and thank you for this interview. And we hope that whoever gets to play the game will enjoy it and appreciate the work and effort that has gone into it.
I'm sure they will. It's a ton of fun, and I'm sure it's going to get all the success it deserves. So count down a few hours for the launch. Best of luck, and see you soon. Many thanks.
Thank you.